Oh no! What's up? Good to see you. How's it going? Hi Ruby. Hi Ruby.
Good to see you.
Scozy.
Party after
How's it going? That's us.
How is the relegation doing now? Tell us more about relegation.
It's too early to talk about relegation, and Arsenal will not be at the bottom three come Christmas. You know, there's a saying that whoever is bottom team on Christmas Day is likely to get relegated, and I'm sure that's not us.
But this season is different, Sha.
It's different. It's different.
You know the Spanish flukes are being exposed.
No, it's a season. Life is seasons and times. This is a season. It will go too.
Yeah, it will go. Yes.
We might not qualify for Champions League. Do you think that's possible?
But we might win Europa.
We will win Europa.
Okay. So I think enough of football talk. So good morning. Good to see you guys. Paul, how far? Scholes.
Oh no, in the
I
afternoon.
know your face.
In the afternoon.
Wait,
Oh, in the afternoon.
your
So
face
far.
is bringing out some cool cash.
Thank you.
Wait.
I hope it
Were
turns.
you affected by COVID?
Okay, I think that's part of what we're here today. For me, it feels like I kind of cruised through 2020, like it was just a cruise through. Personally, I didn't get to achieve much, and I think it was due to preparation anyway. But yeah, hope for something
Well,
better.
your face is radiating excellence.
Yeah. So how
It's
was
not showing COVID signs.
Just plenty money.
Amen. So how was COVID for you? How was 2020 for you?
Basically, 2020, we say we thank God. We lost some, we won some, and basically, the basic thing is we have to pick ourselves up from where we left, and it's just a wonderful year. Let's just say that 2020 has been wonderful in its good and its bad.
Beautiful. Paul, how far?
Well, we thank God.
This is thank God everybody should say.
I have to be busy.
You know, at least this new Namale song, Taloniko Poke. So
Honey, what?
Oh, that's where that came from.
exactly. So everything has been good. It's been fine. We can't complain actually. God brought us to this life. We're still alive,
And congrats on your new week.
and
You have to wash it.
So, Honorable Shay, 2020, how far?
I think 2020 has been one of those years. To be honest, it's still been a busy year for me. You know, when you are in a leadership position, sometimes you have to continue to think more about the people than just yourself. So, you know, every time I think about 2020, at every point in time, yes, I'll have my own challenges, but I'll think, what about the people? You know, what are they going through? So it was a busy year. It was a very busy year. I was just taking notes of how the year has gone, and every month, you know, we were up to something. So I thank God for 2020. I think it's been an interesting year. And as we wind down, I've started thinking about 2021. How are we going to make it better? You know, there's a lot of... I'm an incurable optimist.
We're saying something like every month. Oh, how about during the lockdown?
We still have to.
Before we go to the lockdown,
What as a legislator, what
it's even
was
still fresh.
doing during that month? Because we were indoors and they
but I have almost... I have more than 250,000 people that I represent. And so one of the things I must always remember, yes, I have my own challenges, but in the middle of all of that, there must still be that, what about the guys at home? You know, what are they facing? How are we going to, you know, should we just say, everybody to your tent, everybody hold your own? Or do you have to keep saying, what do I need to do to help these guys? And I think even during lockdown, you know, there was no real lockdown in Oyo State. There was still activities. So we still had to play different roles at different times. When people were complaining about food, we had to come in. When people were complaining of lack of knowledge, we had to come in. When people were talking about nose mask, we had to come in. So at different points, we were still busy.
How did you manage to now very fresh? Doesn't look like I say, nothing happens here.
It's grace of God, and I'm learning how to, there's that thing called rest. We don't like it. I'm forcing myself to rest these days. After this, I'm going into my hideout to rest, so that I can plan, and prepare for 2021.
You pray too.
It's so necessary.
So what was that been coming up that you've been mentioning is help?
Yes.
And personally, I know your mantra has been Ejekaseyi.
Yes.
Which I know you meant let's do this together.
That's right.
Or something. So what was Ejekaseyi? How did it come up? Was it a vision? What was it?
Some people would think this stuff is for Sheyi Makinde or something.
We had that issue too. We had that issue because my late boss wore the Ejekaseyi cap, and they tried to twist it that I was saying Sheyi Makinde. Clearly was saying she had this. But you see, John Maxwell says something. He says 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness. If you are going to go fast, go alone. If you're going to go far, go with people. And I think I came to that realization. So let me start. Ejekaseyi came up, and I won't totally claim like I coined it. It was one of the young men that worked with me and said, we're looking for something that has your name in it. But the more we thought about it, the more I said, look, I can't do this thing alone. We have to do things together. I've been in government for some time. I understand if you're going to get success, it has to be teamwork. And so he came up with, let's do Ejekaseyi. And then we can have Ejekaseyi fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́, which is education. Let's do this for education. Let's do this for the youth. Let's do this for health. Let's do this for our community. So Ejekaseyi fún this or fún that or whatnot. So that's how we brought it up. But for me, it's the fact that anything we're going to achieve, we're going to need to work with people, So one of my strengths is my team, that we work together. One of our values is collaboration. So a lot of things we do, we collaborate with people. I don't deceive myself. I'm a minority member in a party, in a House of Assembly. If I'm going to get much done, I'm going to need to collaborate with people. And that has been my stance. That has helped me over the last year too.
Beautiful. So I think Scholes mentioned COVID earlier.
Yes, as regards COVID, because like Honorable said earlier, our state was not on a total lockdown.
Yes.
And we had this challenge of, it was because the governor doesn't want to go ahead with the federal party, APC, PDP. So he wants to satisfy his people by not locking down. So at the point, we had issues of the case rising, and there was a lot of decision making. And at the end of the day, it not looked as if the legislative arm of our state was just idle. And you guys were taking orders from the government. So how does it feel like being a minority and trying to challenge the majority in terms of key decision making, especially during this COVID?
Okay, so I thought you were going into COVID, but you took it into politics.
It was because if you look at during that COVID, it was about legislative telling the government that these are the people we are representing.
So you see, COVID was an unusual time. What you call unprecedented. The last time we had anything of that nature was 1918 to 1920, about 100 years ago. Yes, the one that killed millions of people. They locked down churches then, so they locked down many things. And you see, when we're talking about lockdown or no lockdown, you have to remember that as a leader, there are always going to be conflicting interests. It's not as if one is right, one is wrong, but you're going to have to prioritize one interest. So a lot of states prioritize health over economics, or your state prioritize economics over health. That's how it happened. Because the governor's thinking was, if we lock things down for health, what will people eat? In other states, they thought, no. Health is first. Let's keep people healthy, and let's forget economics for now. So there is no right or wrong answer. It's based on what is. It's like second wave is coming. I guarantee you many states will not lock down because the economic impact will be too tough for people to handle. So you have to look at your environment and be able to make decisions on that. Now, to your question as to how do we, the legislative had to lock down because even government locked down. It was a key core committee that was working in that period because, hey, no, we've never seen it. We don't even know what it looks like. You're fighting an enemy, you don't know. So the first thing is, let everybody even go home first. Let's rearrange, let's re-strategize. There was an EOC that was managing COVID. That was like the government at the time. It was the one running everything. But we were not sitting, but it doesn't mean we were not working. So we still had the committee on employment going around. We still had the committee on health going around on behalf of the house. So the house was working, but we're not sitting daily. Now, as I said, for me, how COVID happened was, first of all, when it came up strong in March, the first need I saw was people don't know. So you will leave Ibadan, you go to your constituency, and they don't even have a clue as to what's happening. So the gap I saw was information. So what do I do to cover that gap? I certainly didn't plan this when we started the year, but you must, as a leader, you must be able to adapt. So I saw a gap. So what did I do? Immediately went to radio stations, started doing commercials so that people, with the radio stations that people listen to. The second thing I did is I did what we call robocalls. So we have quite a number, phone numbers of our people. So I recorded robocalls telling them, wash your hands, and all of those things. And their phones started to ring. They would hear my voice. Oh, Honorable called us, and so on and so forth. We did that as well. Then we went to NOA, National Orientation Agency. They have bodies in every local government. They already have a way of reaching people. They have systems. So I went to the one in Afidjo and I said, look, we have to work together. This is what we're trying to pass on. And yes, we need some this, and we worked together, and they too disseminated information. So when it became an information issue, we had to respond quickly. In fact, not respond, we had to be on top of the game ahead of time. Then when we got into April, it now started becoming hunger. Now, I noticed a lot of people were doing sanitizers. I said, no, this is not a sanitizer thing. People at home can wash their hands. They are not so busy that they can't wash their hands. It's not a sanitizer issue, and I don't like just following the crowd. It was more or less, what do they really need? And it was food. So the first thing I did was, with some of the savings we had, some of the things we had put together, we reached out to them across all the towns. Afidjo has about 9 towns, so we reached out to all of them. And, the feedback was, it was well received, but, how much can a honorable without a budget, how much can he possibly do? By the grace of God. So we were able to reach out, but sincerely it wasn't enough. But I talked about collaboration earlier on. And what we now did was, I already have a relationship with the business community. So you see, again, when you're governing, you must think broadly, and you must think long term. One of the things people must do is, whenever you're in any position, always identify your key stakeholders every time, no matter where you are. When I got in, I realized that, yes, politicians are my primary stakeholders, but they are not my only stakeholders. And that's a mistake a lot of politicians make. The kings are stakeholders. The business sector are stakeholders. The students are stakeholders. These are all stakeholders. So I had reached out to the business community in January. We had the breakfast meeting. We're cool. So when the challenge came up, I ran straight to them. I said, look, guys, I have done ABC. It's not enough. We need to get more things out. Because if these people are hungry, they'll start to burgle your shops. They'll start to disturb you guys. So they responded well. We came together again. We did another batch of palliatives again. Amo Farms brought chicken, Bond brought, some items, gave some money, and we went another round. You understand? So again, across towns, and imagine people that, they're living on daily pay. Some of them are not working as they want to work. People are not coming out. These things came in timely for them, and it was really helpful. We went a third time through the state government. The state government too sent some palliatives, which we also shared. So we went 3 times to the communities. Then there was a time we now started realizing that the solution is masks. Or not solution, but part of what can solve the problem is masks. So again, we are thinking we can announce, go and buy masks, or we can actually try and get them masks. So we called all the tailors, the Tailor Association, and then we gave them materials, and then they sold, I can't remember, maybe about 5,000 or 6,000.
So you basically used what you had?
Yes.
To get what you
absolutely. And we weren't giving it to outsiders. We were empowering the tailors by paying them to actually make these masks. Beautiful. So we started doing mask up afidra as it were. So we went to schools, because some of the schools had to prepare for WAEC. So we gave all the students that were coming to school, we gave all the teachers, we gave different communities, we gave as much as we could. So for me, you will see that yes, there was a lockdown, but for me, we were working. We couldn't sit and say, what has befallen us. No, we have to remember at every point in time that there are 250,000 people expecting us to do something, and that responsibility kept us moving, kept us going. That look, yes, we are having to be concerned about COVID out there going out, but hey, there are 250,000 people also waiting. So that was my experience during COVID.
You were like, should I say, one of the first people that actually shared.
Ramon has it.
Listening. So some people were like saying, okay, fine. He's an APC person, so he's just trying to disguise as a good person, maybe for like eye service or something. He's just trying to disguise as a better person because you're in a PDP state and you're in APC. So how does that sound to you? Is it does it sound good?
So to answer you with a joke.
Add to what he said. Beyond that, you talked about your response regarding information, regarding feeding and all of that. Was there anything regarding education?
Oh yes. Okay, thank you for reminding me, because I actually forgot that earlier on. So let me crack a joke based on what Paul said. When people say eye service in Yoruba, it's translated as Ojuaye.
Right. And even currently they say already disguised.
But there's also something my boss will say, Talon Shoju. You say Ojuaye, you are doing eye service. Who is doing the one for you? No, but you understand. But that aside, you see, one of the things I've learned in this life, you have to be before you can do. You can't give what you don't have. It's not possible. You have to be for you to do. We are human beings before we are human doings. So what you are doing is a function of who you are. I didn't have to do any of these things. I know people that didn't do any of these things. Do you understand? But for me, as I said in my last comment, is a sense of responsibility. A sense of we are leading at such a time as this. In those 8 times, you must communicate more, you must show care more, and you must collaborate more. Those are 3 of our values in my organization, the Sharia Development Initiative. We must show care, we must show a commitment, we must show collaboration. So these are things that we hold dear to us. So it wasn't eye service. It was us actually responding out of a responsibility that we have to do something. We cannot sit down and say, has it happened before? What do you want to do? We had to do more. Now, I forgot earlier on when I was listing some of the things we did. At a point when information was key, because hey, at this point maybe we had used another 2 months, people were wondering what's going on. We did Facebook Live with our constituents, like town halls with our constituents.
Yes.
I totally forgot that. But the purpose again was to engage with people. Now we realized that a lot of the young people in Afijo are on Facebook. Usually people are scared to do town hall meetings because we can't control what people will say, especially online. But I said, look, I'm not concerned about what people will say as much as what we need to pass on to people. So we did Facebook Lives, and we did 3. We did one on health, I got a doctor on the front line in the UK. They're some steps ahead of us. So he was very useful. He's Nigerian, but he's based in the UK. So we did health, we did education. People are thinking, how would we educate our children? Schools are closed. Schools, do you understand? How would we educate people and all of that? Pizza right on time.
Paul does not eat pizza, so.
You can. I can have your own if you don't want. What drink do you want? What would you want, Ruby?
Paul would prefer pounded yam.
Thank you.
What would you want? Fantastic. I was hoping you don't say Sprite.
Alright. Thanks.
All right. Okay, so I hope this pizza will not disturb our discussion, but yay.
Okay.
All right. All right, so
Do you want to have it now?
Oh, I'll pick it up.
okay, yeah, serviette here. I think. And we have some more. I know if we need more. All right, so we had on health, we had on education, and the reason we did education because a lot of people like children had been at home. You know, what should we do? Government was trying. Government was doing radio. Government was having telegram groups to teach and all of that. You know, but people were concerned. So the education element brought what people could do and what government could also do. So it was interactive. And then the last one we had was how to make money during COVID. And we were trying to use our competitive advantage of our Greek. You know, so we brought 2 female farmers and they were talking to us about, you know, how you can make money from planting seeds or raising seeds to, you know, easy ways to make money during COVID. I just felt that these women, I'm a woman supporter. I support women, and I'm just impressed by how much those 2 ladies have been able to achieve. You know, they are industrious, they're enterprising, they're, you know, proactive. It's just amazing what they're doing. And trust me, forget the agenda. They killed it. Exactly. You know, there was no.
So you support people that have great initiatives.
Absolutely. You have to forget. You see, one of the reasons why nations are poor is because we put nepotism before merit. You know, is one of us, or is my own, or is our own. It's one of the reasons why nations fail. There's a book, Why Nations Fail, and that's central to it. Not letting merit drive your decision making, letting sentiments, ethnicity, letting all of those things drive your decision making. It always ends up failing.
Okay. So I was thinking about something, and I think I never got the opportunity to ask you.
Yeah.
And now that we are here,
yes.
Because when you started this, she had this Who show, and honestly, it was a great initiative, and kudos to your team. Because to have a show that's on Instagram Live, go on DSTV, and as you're watching it, it's being streamed live on DSTV as well. And you brought in great people, the likes of the Akinwale himself, this man from
that fine man.
Yeah, from the north.
There's Kabiru Tsukura.
Okay, yeah.
From Kevin.
I really enjoyed that particular show.
Yes.
But the truth is, COVID made us realize that we could do many things.
Yes.
And so what brought out the idea, and are we still expecting more of that?
Okay, so you know, I was listening to, I won't take credit. I don't take credit for what's not mine totally. So I was listening to one of my boss, Jimmy Tewi, and he had a show or a program, and John Obidik was online, and he was talking about, you know, people need to we're going into the world of, people owning shows and things like that. And when you hear those kind of comments, you just hear it. But then I, for a minute, said, let me apply it to myself. I said, show, what do I know? Politics. Then I thought political show. Then I thought, who will come? Then I also thought, actually, you're a politician. You are probably the best person that can, because politicians are not always friends with the media. For obvious reasons, they get misquoted. They, sometimes what they say gets turned around and whatnot. So I thought to myself, wait a minute. You're a politician. They know I'm not trying to catch them out. I just want to have a discussion. They know that whatever applies to them kind of applies to me. I know where it pinches and whatnot. So with that, I just prayed. I said, God, look, what do you want us to do? Can we run this? And yes, I got, this push in my spirit that we could go ahead. And the day we started the adverts, we got a call from Pop Central. Wow. Shout out to my friend now, Yinka Obebe, the CEO. And he just said, look, how would you like to take this thing on DSTV? And I was like, wait. If you want to bring budget or anything, let's look at this thing. And he said, let's sit down, let's talk. And, the partnership, again, collaboration has paid off. And we did the first season. It was more or less, let's see how people will receive it. Because sometimes you have great ideas. You don't know how the people receive it. And it was well received. It was massive. People loved it. And then we planned the second edition for October. Then NSAS happened. And no matter what we say, even if I'm ready to face the media, not every politician will be ready to face the media at that time. And so, again, one of the key skills a leader must have is adaptability. We had started adverts and everything that season 2, in fact, we already had our people lined up, but I just had to, some emotional intelligence to tell me, I don't think people want to see politicians right now. Even though you don't want to see them normally, let alone in this season. So I thought to myself, this is probably not the time. People are going through several emotions. To now see some politicians sitting down laughing, even if they are saying the right things, people will not listen. So it was based on that we thought to ourselves, and my team and myself, we thought, well, next year we hope, because you need to listen to what they are saying. Sometimes, we must be ready to come to the table and dialogue. It's the only way. If one side says we no go agree, and the other side is not, so, and the funny thing is that a lot of politicians are on the side of the people. You understand? We are on the same side. We are together. We don't agree with certain things that have happened.
But when you said a lot of politicians,
yes,
is it on the state level or on the federal level?
Well, this show I'm talking about is a international show, because
as regards the side of the people.
Yes.
Because during the NSAS,
yes,
a lot of youth were still kind of closer to the politicians on the state level and the past politicians that are not currently holding position. Yeah. But on the federal level, it was no.
But we saw people on the federal level shouting. At least I know a few of my colleagues that were shouting on the top of their lungs that we cannot allow this to happen. Some things are not right.
We're disguised. That's what we're seeing politicians on the federal level doing, because they felt, why are you coming out? Why can't you go and tell President Muhammadu Buhari that do this? Why are you not coming to tell us? As if you're just trying to.
We are regulated by laws.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's only one way to remove the president, section 143 or 146. There is no other way. No matter how much we shout, like they shouted even in other countries we've seen, if you do not follow the laid down laws of how to remove it counts to nothing. And that's one of the reasons why my show, Politics of Development, my podcast, that was what some of the things we've addressed. We need to be educated. We need to be informed. One of my greatest highlights of the whole NSAS is an awakening. Before NSAS, we have been doing podcasts, youth get involved in politics, youth do this, youth participate. We've been saying it before NSAS. But NSAS was just like, whoo! Everybody just woke up like, we have rights. And we're not going to play with it anymore. So for me, I was so excited that, yes, this is where we've been, trying to get to. Young people saying that they're going to take destiny in their own destinies in their hands. So NSAS for me, it propelled things, it moved things forward. We didn't like what happened on 2020. May we never see such again. But the fact is that whole season woke people up. And for me, I couldn't be more, happier, because now, if you ask any young person, they're interested. They're saying, once they open PVC, I'm going to get my PVC. Once it's time to vote, I'm going to vote. There's that participation in the minds of young people, which is what we have been advocating for long before now. And if you watch some of our podcasts on YouTube, Shayad, you would see that, we've been talking about when to join politics, why to join, when, where, how, what, all of those things. We've been talking about it before all of this started.
Okay, so let's quickly go down to legislation.
Yes.
What was your role in legislation? Your people, the states,
yes,
and maybe national.
Okay.
What did you do? What laws did you sponsor?
Okay. So I'm a state legislator. So I at best, what we do is we recommend to our colleagues at the federal level, hoping that they would also take on the mantle, and a lot of them have been very responsive. But this year, I have been involved with, I'm not sure, I think 8 or 9 motions to date. Paul is saying,
Paul wants
don't let this thing be cold.
I think that there's no one to
No, I'll serve you.
We shouldn't let it be cold,
No, I'll serve you. I'm the server for today. Should I serve you?
No, not yet. Thank you.
I'm the one talking, but doesn't mean I can't take a bite.
All right.
So, now I forgot what I was saying.
You're talking about bills.
All right, I've had about 9 motions this year and 1 bill. I'm just trying to remember. Some we co-sponsored, but trying to remember from the top of my head. So one of the things I talked on early on was traffic in Ibadan. And this is not recently. This is because you must be able to see ahead of time. You must have, if you look at traffic in Ibadan, for example, a lot of it is indiscriminate parking. A lot of it is indiscipline on the roads. And a lot of it is government, we need to say, for example, when you go abroad, you see people lining roads, double yellow, red, where you should park, where you can park, where you cannot park. And these things can help government to raise funds. Government can raise revenue, IGR, by having PPP car parks and whatnot. So these are some of the things that, I spoke about. We spoke about, that was a motion. I'm not going to try and remember all of it now, but that one is key because of what is happening now. We had a motion on an entrepreneurship college in my constituency in Elora. Cooperative and Entrepreneurship College is yet to start, and I felt in this season we ought to start. This is the time where a lot of young people need to have the opportunity to learn about entrepreneurship. Another motion I had was about, technical schools. Again, education, entrepreneurship. That's me. That's what I like to do. So we have 5 government technical colleges. A lot of them have buildings, but no equipment. Government needs to look into that. Not everybody will go to universities. Not everybody will go to, but let people go to technical colleges. Let them learn, skills, technical skills. Then bring in private sector to partner. So imagine someone like Nissan, after some people have trained auto mechanics, then they partner with Nissan, then they do internship with Nissan, or some people are learning how to, maybe repair phones, then MTN comes in. That's what we need now. There are loads of people that want to work but don't have opportunities. And that is the job of government, creating opportunities. So that was on technical education, the need for us to revive it and partner with private sector. I'm trying to remember another recent one I did.
I think you did something on rape.
Okay. So going to the woman issue. So when we were having a lot of sexual harassment, and it's a shame because even during this lockdown, the numbers increased. Disappointingly, but it is what it is. The facts are there. And we were seeing a lot of rape and even of young girls underage, so I had to lend my voice again to that. Again, through collaboration, I had spoken to a few NGOs that work in this sector. They were very clear some of the things we needed to do. The attitude of the police. So when we talk about police reforms, and it's much more than just, pay and all of the things people were talking about. Even their orientation, their training. They might need to have desks dedicated to sexual violence, whereby the person is trained and able to show empathy. And, because a lot of people will tell you when they report, they will say they should give them money and forget the case. So that these NGOs had told me the real need. So when I was on the floor, I was, really sharing what people, not just the issues, but we are government, we must be able to provide solutions. So we're able to send that to the House. In fact, on that day, the governor was on the floor and he heard, there and then. And then let me go into my bill because I'm quite excited about that one. It's called the Oyo State Enterprise and Employment Trust Fund. And the purpose of this is to really, again, help young people in the place of entrepreneurship and employment. And how it would work, it's a trust fund. So the fund must have money, which we hope governments will start off with. Then other people will start to put in once they see is well managed. So the government will put in a fund. Then the fund will work with SMEs. Some of them need support. Some of it is training. Some of it is fund. So they work with SMEs. Those SMEs in turn will also be ready to partner to take on staff. Okay. So from the employment side, we will be taking maybe 100,000 youths, train them, then be fixing them with companies, partner companies. And then the money we use for their training, eventually when they start earning over a certain amount, maybe they'll remove 2,000 to go back into the fund. So another set of people can benefit from it. So it becomes a revolving fund. It went through second reading on Thursday last week. I'm so excited. It was well received. My colleagues were also happy about it. So it's gone to committee stage and it's a joint committee. So again, this will change the face of MSME and employment. And these are the things that we need to focus on if we're going to have a stable economy. The SMEs are the backbone of any economy and we must support them. Gone are the days where you think one company will employ 50,000 people or 1,000 people. It doesn't happen. Even government was only able to recruit 4,000 teachers and maybe another 2,000 or 3,000 non-teachers. And that's government. But there are no jobs. But the SMEs can take 2, 3, 4, and then we mop up unemployment. So that is my own desire. That is what I'm looking at, whereby we can really help SMEs grow. And that's what the trust fund will hopefully do.
For me, the bill is good, but my own problem is how do people manage these funds?
Okay, so
how are you so sure that people will not eat all the money and then the money doesn't even go
so
to or anything?
So the fund is not the fund will have a board, and the board will be reputable people. Those are the things we have to put in the law, so that when they are choosing the fund, is not somebody looking for 100 million.
Doesn't mean
somebody that is no people of unquestionable character.
Okay.
Those are the sort of people that we want to put in the board. So just like the security trust fund or the education trust fund, remember their jobs will also be to go and raise funds. You understand? And it's not one person, it's a committee of different types of people. So I want to believe they will have also, the law will say things like audit audit accounts, from big reputable companies. So we put the checks and balances there. But the most important thing is that it is how they manage the fund that will tell if more people will be willing to put in. You understand? Because if they don't manage it well, nobody will put in their money in a leaking basket. Nobody will. So if they manage it well, then they'll be able to raise more funds and will be able to help more SMEs. When NSAS happened in Lagos could respond because they have a fund whereby they could help SMEs. Oyo State, we don't have such a fund. We're just raising and whatnot. So we need something like that in place that can help SMEs.
Okay.
Continue.
I actually want to continue. So let me be selfish. What did you do for women this year?
I knew it. That's why I said this.
No, but I already said a few things about women. I already said about
the agri.
No, that's not doing something for women. I'm looking for something beyond that.
So, well, other than, obviously championing the cause of the girl child and women in Oyo State on the floor, which I just mentioned, the rape issue, I'm always looking for collaboration. So as we speak, there is a program that we are designing for the girl child in schools. They're supposed to learn how to code, coding for girls.
Yes.
And the reason,
That's good.
Yeah.
The reason, because girls they always relegate them to go and do hairdressing or go and do certain type of skills, and it should not be so. So this coding for girls, so that we can have girls that are into robotics, artificial intelligence, designing websites and graphics and animation, all of that. So there's a tech, I think it's Tech for How, a friend of ours that we're already, in the final stages. That will be launched next year. I'm passionate because, again, I'm not chauvinistic or a guy thing. I have a daughter. I want women to succeed. It should not matter whether you're a man or a woman. You should just have the content. That's all. Do you understand? Whether you're a man, you really. Sorry?
I said, you also have a wife.
That goes without saying. No, the daughter I produced, the wife I got joined to. But the fact is that, recently my friend Ifedro Simieti, shout out to her, my future Minister of Women Affairs, as I call her. She has a tribe, AGS tribe. And I was there 2 Sundays ago. She launched what she called her economy. So instead of economy, her economy. So it's women supporting women. And, she even went as far as doing an app. I had just come back from Ibadan or from Lagos. I went back the next day just to support her. The same with another organization called Elect Her. Elect Her is trying to get more women into politics. Same thing. Every time they have programs, I'm usually there. I'm speaking on their behalf. So anything, women, I believe the quality of your decisions will be limited if you don't have a diverse board when you're deciding. Whether you don't have young people, or you don't have women, or you don't have old people, once you eliminate a portion or a segment, your decision can never be the best. And it goes without saying, because you're not going to get inputs from them. Recently, we did a Christmas party in Afidjo. People were like, oh, first of its kind. But I said, I don't claim credit for what's not mine. It was my wife that said we need to celebrate children in Afidjo. Now, it's not that I don't like children, but the way I'm wired, I'm thinking business, I'm thinking this. She was thinking more of family, children, women. But because, I listened to her, we did it and it was amazing. It was excellent, even by my standard. And she raised everything herself. She did everything herself, So that for me is what you get when you work with all sectors. You're not segmenting one side or saying women are this. And the honest truth is, there are less than 5% of women elected in all our positions. We have 1,453 positions at the state and national level. We have about 68 women in all those positions. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, in our house, we only have one woman. I know in many other houses of assembly, they have one. In the Northwest, you have even maybe 1 or 2. In the Northeast, none, or North Central. I can't remember which one of them. So we need to get more women into these positions because there are just some things men are not wired to remember or to want to do.
As regards that house, because the share the serve, most people know is the gentle guy. Because most people always wonder, is it truly an honorable?
Or what is he? If he's not honorable, what are they thinking I am?
Because the way they see
A fashionista.
a fashion. Or maybe a motivational speaker. Because of the gentle nature and making matter was there are just 5 APC in the house. And how do you guys cope? How do you guys cope with the force of the majority? Because like you said about your bills, your emotions, if you don't align with them, they might just vote nay. How will 5 people pass?
No. So let me at this point also recognize our speaker, a young man, Right Honorable Deba Ogundoyin. One of the things I've realized, and it's not just at the Oyo State House, but even at the federal, we're at the National Assembly for 1 week last week on a peer exchange program. When you get to the house, you are supposed to drop party. We are now government, so forget party. Yes, party may come in once in a while where, say, your party has a particular policy or bill it wants to push. They might whip everybody into line. But usually, when you're talking about development, it's like they're talking about roads. Is it that I don't want road in Afijo? Or they're talking about schools? Or is it that I don't want schools? Do you understand? So naturally, when we're in the house, we are one. And the speaker has tried so well to balance things. So when I have motions, they don't look at it as an APC motion. Yeah. It's an Oyo State motion. You understand? When I have bills, it's for the sake of Oyo State, for the good of Oyo State. So we don't look at such when we're in the house. And the speaker, as I said, and I always say, has done a great job in balancing. Obviously, if something was going to come up that we did not want, and there are things like that have come up. I mean, when 26 people say yes, the remaining 6, we have 5 APC, 1 ADP, but the ADP is aligned to us, so let's say we're 6. Once they say yay, they have it, but it doesn't mean we will not have our say. We will put it on record because in the house we have something called the Hansard. The Hansard records everything everybody says, so you can refer to it years later. Do you understand? So once you say something, even if it's not agreed to, it will be on record. So we always make sure we put in our voices so that it's on record. That yes, we said this, even though you guys decided against. And that's how democracy works. The majority always have the say. That's just how it works.
It's been a beautiful conversation. So to round off, let's do something.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
I want to ask you one final question.
Yeah.
After this, where do you see yourself in the next 4 years? Are you going to contest, or are you going higher, or do you want to become the governor of your state, or you just gonna rest?
You should know where he's going. He said when he was giving credit to a certain lady, he said my future.
No.
He said my future. He said that's what he called.
So one of the things that is funny is that everybody's thinking about 2023. There's 2027. There's 2031. There's 2035. There are many rounds to go.
Coming out 2027.
I hope so. Now one of the things I want people to always remember. We have given you a mandate. What have you done with it? Politicians are prone to, once we enter election, once the election is done, they start thinking about the next one. I think it's a faulty mindset. Yes. I have a mandate. Before you want to mark me whether I passed my class or I did not pass, I must have done some things. So I think it's still too early for me to say this is the next step. A lot of people say things like, oh, is it rep? Is it second term? There are many factors. One of the things I learned from my late boss, Senator Abiola Ajimobi, is how to win elections. I was with him in 2015 when he became the first governor to win 2 terms. I know, how hard we worked, even on electioneering. To God be the glory. That helped us in 2019. Those lessons of 2015 helped us a lot in 2019. Because if we ran maybe just an average campaign, we may not be here. But the fact that we had some experience was really helpful to us. So as we go into 2023, I'm mindful that a lot of people around me have started asking, but I'm like, God will tell us what we should do at the right time. At this time, I'm more concerned as to just being useful to the people that put me there. Just trying to show capacity that you gave me your trust, you gave me your votes, let me repay it back.
Okay.
If at the end of it, you want me to do another thing to serve you again, and God gives me the go ahead to, then I will. But at this stage, it's too early. Now, there are also other things you look at. For example, in my party, in my local government, we rotate. Like Nigeria.
Okay.
We rotate. We have a zoning policy. The zoning policy is there. Can it be broken? Maybe. Would it be broken? I don't know. There is House of Rep. Do I want to go there, or do people want me to go there? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that the one in front of me, I must do it to the best of my ability. And then whatever happens after that, to God be the glory. So that's how I see it. And you see, my boss used to say something that if you realize that this thing is work, is not just a position. If you really want to work, you would think twice about taking positions. It's not just, oh, I'm now this, and then 4 years I go. If you think about the responsibilities involved in it, then you will know that it's something you should think about before you go into.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So we're going to round off in about 3 minutes. In 1 minute, you're going to tell us what you looked forward to in 2021. And in 1 minute, you're just going to recap your achievements in 2020. So I'd like you to start with recapping your achievements for 2020 in 1 minute. Just please.
Let me not forget, because just before this, I was just jotting a few things down. So in January, we did back to school. And the reason we did back to school was because I'm passionate about education. The future, if Nigeria is going to change, we're going to have to go to the younger generation. So we started with back to school, equipping children with uniforms, bags, books, textbooks, maps, geography maps, and all of those stuff. We collaborated and were able to reach out to about 2,000 of them. When it got to February, we thought, well, education is not just students, so you have to do teachers as well. So we train teachers on digital skills. It's funny because I saw one of those teachers about 2 months ago, and he was hugging me and saying, those digital skills that we taught them in February helped them during COVID. That was what a lot of them fell back on during COVID. Google Classrooms and all of those things, that really helped them. So February, I remember that was it. March, we launched the I Become. So I Become is our leadership training program. And we started with tertiary institutions. We started with Lead City. Unfortunately, we couldn't continue because of COVID. We went online for a bit, but a lot of students went back home. It wasn't quite the same, but we've learned a lot of lessons from that. The I Become was what we did. April, we did the COVID palliative. May, we did the COVID palliative with businesses, I remember. In June, we did masks for students and teachers and all of that. In July, we did, we bought a tractor. So we a lot of the farmers, again, have been working with private companies to see how they can come into Afidjo and help us, collaborate with us and all or not. But every time we spoke to the farmers, they kept complaining about not enough farm equipment. So they want to till their farms, they want to do those things. So again, when I hear things like that, it's in my mind, how do we make it happen? God helping us. And we were able to get a tractor. And that tractor, we were giving it out to people at a subsidized rate. So I think it takes 6,000 to plow an acre. We were giving it out for 4,000. So, we're helping them. And then some really poor people, we would do it for free for them as well. So we did the tractor program in July. In August, we started SAPS. We started the Shea SAP political show. And that went on for, I think it was about 3 weeks back to back. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for 3 weeks. And in fact, it was draining, but I enjoyed every moment of that. In September, obviously, we did a lot of recording for podcast, the Politics of Development podcast. We were really trying to get more people to learn, about politics and, what to do. In October, we did the I Become again, but this time for secondary schools. So we went like a pilot program. We took all the class captains of a school and we took them through leadership curriculum. And, that again exposed us to so many things about young people in the constituency, some of the challenges they're facing, and so on and so forth. So we did that. November, we started our TVET program, our Technical Vocational Education Program, with an organization called EduTech. We had three programs. We had the hair care and beauty, because we have black soap in my community. So they were using black soap to make cosmetics. They were learning how to do wigs and so on and so forth. Then we did supply chain, and the purpose of supply chain is like everybody focuses on production in agri, but we know there's processing, there's distribution, there's packaging, so all those other elements of the chain, we brought them in, we taught them, and through that. And then the last one was caregiving and facility management. And the caregiving and facility management was more or less, hey, people have old people in their homes, their grandmas, their grandpas, they can't be with them, they need caregivers that will stay with them. So we brought them up to speed. And then facility management, a lot of, and a lot of them, in fact, I got a call on Friday. There's an organization in Ibadan that is ready to take most of the facility managers that we've trained, and, we've written to several companies to help them and whatnot. So some are coming out as entrepreneurs, some are coming out as getting jobs, Then the second phase we started 2 weeks ago was agribusiness. And agribusiness is in collaboration with IITA. So they're starting with aquaculture, then they'll go into poultry. So another set have started. We take them from Afigio to IITA every day and bring them back. They're doing aquaculture and whatnot. I think they're ending on Wednesday for the break. Then they will continue. It's for 4 weeks. The TVET2 was for 4 weeks, and then they will now start the poultry in January. The January part of our training is ICT, so digital literacy. So again, that's where we go into animation, graphics, and so on and so forth. And then December, what we've done, federal government announced survival fund for businesses that have gone through a lot of issues in COVID. We're able to facilitate for 200 people at 30,000. That's 6 million naira was given to businesses in Afigio that have gone through tough times during COVID. So, the federal government has done very well to support those businesses. And obviously the Christmas party, and then, through all of this, I've been passing bills, I've been passing motions, because I must remind people my job is a legislator, not the executive. However, if you have capacity to do some things, you won't say because it's not my job, I won't do it. So that's why I've been very active on the home front. So your final question, which is
one word now. One word. What do we look forward to in 2021?
Development of people.
Thank you. Wow. So it's been an amazing conversation. I think at this point I'll take the pizza. And you guys can continue your football conversation. Okay, thank you everybody.
All right, thanks guys. I had fun over pizza. I know you people just let me eat only one slice. But it was good. Thank you guys so much.
It was because of that to
I'm gonna take you off. 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 I'm gonna take you off.